Alrighty. I blew another streak. I forgot to make a video yesterday. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look back at the 2022 New York Rangers draft class, i.e. last year's draft class. Probably tomorrow I'll make a video on the 2021 and 2020, and probably will stop there. I don't know if we'll go all the way back to 2019. With the draft coming up, this is a pretty relevant topic. Again, it's almost impossible to pass judgment or tell you what a player is going to be after literally 1 year after their draft class. So everything I say and everything we talk about right here, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, this doesn't mean anything. It's only a year after they've been drafted, and the Rangers did not have a first-round pick last year. So everybody here was taken second round or later. Starting with Adam Cjethsyt, gained a pretty good amount of hype throughout the Rangers organization throughout the year. Here's a little elite prospect. Elite prospects either has to dumb down on the amount of ads they have or have low performance mode, because Jesus Christ, my computer is about to shit a brick. It is struggling for its life right here. Few players match Cjethsyt's intensity on the ice. He's all in every shift. He bounces from opponent to opponent, barely giving them any time to handle the puck. Block shots like his ability to play pain, and attacks loose pucks like the fate of the world depends on his ability to catch them. On the back check, he pursues escaping opponents and completely neutralizes them, which is, kind of how we remember Cjethsyt being described throughout the year and at his draft class. Just a great two-way forward, plays his absolute bag off. And to tell you the truth, I mean, that's pretty desirable, especially for a Rangers team who really does not have very many guys that skate their bags off. Really haven't had one since like a Jesper Foss, who just gave it all every single shift. Haven't had one of those in a while. Cjethsyt last year, so his draft year, he had 10, 7, 17 in the Slovakia League for HK Nitra, or Nitra. I think it's Nitra. In Slovak 1 League. Last season, in 38 games, he had 8, 13, 21, so a slight improvement. 4 points in 8 playoff games, which is pretty big. He played a handful of games for the Wolfpack. Played at the World Juniors, had a goal. He had a really nice assist in, was it U18s last year? I remember him having like some sort of highlight reel pass or goal or something. I forgot what it was. It might have even been the goal. But not a bad year for Adam Cjethsyt. I mean, the points per game, the goals per game, I don't think is up, but the assists per game and the points per game and the points in general are up. This is a guy, I wonder if him being in the AHL next year is almost rushing him a little bit. That's more of a question. Like, this is a question I would say for Statboy Steven or AJ Nunn, because they would be able to tell us more about the Slovakian leagues, how they play, and if it's good for developing young players like Adam Cjethsyt. I personally don't know if he's being rushed in the AHL by being in the AHL next year. A lot of that is probably going to weigh on where in the lineup he's playing. Me personally, as someone who's been a Rangers fan for a while, and I'm not really a big fan of the way the Wolfpack has developed players, or any Rangers farm team for that reason has developed young players, I'm a little bit concerned about him being in the AHL so soon. I almost wonder if for next year in the Slovak League wouldn't hurt him. But, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But, nonetheless, Cjethsyt, the way everyone talks about him, scouts talk about him, the way he plays, it's very attractive, and I think it's something that'll fit the Rangers and the mold that Chris Drury wants them to be in going forward, which is a team that is just nonstop ferocious on the puck. And I think Cjethsyt is a guy they want to build with and around in that aspect of his game. But, then again, who knows what will happen in the coming years. But, yeah, Adam Cjethsyt. Second round, what did we get him? 63rd overall. I mean, it's a solid pick. Bryce McConnell Barker, I think, had the best season out of any Rangers draft pick. And last year's draft picked in the 3rd round, 79th, 97th. Centerman's supporting game is his biggest asset. He's a link between all of his teammates, predictable and timely ally on the ice. Offensively and defensively, understands the shutdown game. The necessity of balance pressure and effort with sound positioning to remove options from the opposition and limit time spent running around the defensive zone. So another really, really solid two-way forward centerman. I wonder if we can open this. I don't pay for Elite Prospects. I don't know if we'll be able to read this. Yeah, you need premium. Damn, $12 a month. I'd pay for Netflix instead. Although I do support Elite Prospects. $11 a month is a little bit too rich for poor college students like myself. And Elite Prospects and EP Rigside, they do really good things. So if you do have the money to support them, because they do really good stuff. But I just, unfortunately, I'm a broke bitch. But this year, Bryce McConnell-Barker really broke out. The captain of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. 77 points and 30 goals in 68 games for Sault Ste. Marie. He was a -27, but the team also kind of sucked. I don't know how many people actually follow the OHL, but they were not good this year at all. He pretty much put the team on his back and carried them. Led the team in points by 11. Second in goals with 30. And led the team in assists by 5 with 47 over Kirill Kudrayev. Whatever. Fact of the matter is that Bryce McConnell-Barker had a really, really good year as a leader, as a two-way player, and as a scorer. This is a guy I don't want to say is kind of giving me the same vibes that Brett Howden had. Not when he was in the NHL, but like on his come-up. Obviously, Howden being a first-round pick and McConnell-Barker being a third-round pick, it's a little bit different. But in terms of a player and how he's projecting at the same age, I'm pretty sure that Brett Howden was projected to be about the same, a middle six, two-way center with scoring ability. And I kind of think that's where Bryce McConnell-Barker is. He doesn't have a large highlight reel, but his highlight reel is not... It's meat and potatoes hockey, which is nothing wrong with that. He's just a safe player. He's a smart player. He's a good player. And he projects as an NHLer. He plays a very mature game for a 19-year-old. And Bryce McConnell-Barker is a guy I think we'll see probably a couple years down the line. I wonder if he gets a year or two in the AHL. But he's a guy that I think at some point we will see in a Rangers jersey if they do hold on to him, which I hope they do. Noah Laba, 19 years old, got him in the 4th round, 111th overall. Really good NCAA debut. His freshman year, 11 goals, 11 assists, 22 points, 48 PIMs. Takes a lot of penalty minutes if that wasn't indicative enough in his previous years. 6'2", 192. Must play a pretty physical game. -18, but that's all right. Played one game for USA at the U20 World Championships. Compared to his peers, he was second on the team in scoring. So he was on a really bad team, and he had 11, 11, 22 as a freshman. So I'm not saying he's carrying the freight, but he jumped in as a freshman and played a massive role. So, who's this Hunter McCown guy? This guy's solid, actually, low-key. Good for Columbus, man. Undrafted. Good for them. Good for them. Anyways, back to the lecture at hand. Noah Laba's another guy. Like, this is like kind of like a Morgan Barron type, right? Like, not super expectations out of the draft, but has a great freshman year. Only going to get better. This is probably a guy that's going to spend all years in college, and I think that's okay. Obviously, you'd like him to develop into being the number one player and the number one center, the number one everything on the Colorado College NCAA team. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I'll tell you right now, the first 3 picks in the 2022 NHL entry draft for the New York Rangers look really good. They all developed very, very well and had great draft plus 1 years. Victor Mancini, I don't think we'll ever hear from him ever again. 21 years old. You know, he was in the 2020 draft guide, but not the 2022. Probably not going to ever see him. He might get signed and play some AHL games and be a good AHL defenseman. Might develop into a 7th NHL defenseman, but I don't know how much we're going to hear or see from Victor Mancini, but I could be completely wrong. So, who knows? He's still only... I apologize for the yawning, guys. I really do. It's been a very, very long week. He's only 21 years old. He's still a kid. I think the Rangers have his right for another 2 years, right, for his junior and senior year. Who knows? We still might see something out of him. So, I don't want to write him off, but preliminarily speaking, probably does not project very high in the NHL, but who knows? My favorite pick of the draft, Maxim Barbashev. This kid had a year. And Statboy Steven was posting his highlights all year. And his highlights are friggin' fun. He's got a great shot. He's got great, ridiculous hands. He friggin' hits everything. He's strong as an ox. Here. Barbashev does what he can, but his hockey sense is definitely above average. His passing skills stood out. He attracted before feeding. Only hit teammate when they were inside space. So it's just like whatever. Like, just describing him as a mid-player. If you watch his highlights this year, Jesus. 32, 33, 65, 8, and 12 in the playoffs. Kid had a year, and I'm telling you, he hits everything that moves. He is like his brother Ivan, but actually, he's like his brother Ivan, but I think he's a little bit more physical than Ivan is. But Maxime Barbashev had a great draft plus 1 year. Probably, again, another guy up spend another year in juniors if he's eligible, which I believe he is. You kind of hope he takes the next step and leads his team next year in scoring. We'll see what happens there. But it's his explosiveness and his want for the puck and how aggressive he plays, which is, again, so desirable. Probably another guy that projects as a middle six forward, but who knows? I mean, sometimes these Russian guys, they take a little bit longer to develop, but when they develop, they are friggin' good. So Maxim Barbashev, I mean, this is 4 out of 5 picks now that are projecting as at the very least middle six NHLers. As far as Zachary Karpa, I probably can write him off. 21 years old, 6th-round pick, big guy, but points per game, goals per game were up. Assists per game were down. Points in general were down, but he also played 11 less games in Harvard. Again, you never want to write off a guy, especially at the age of 21, but I mean, considering he had that few points with that many good players on the team, Rangers probably let his rights expire when the time comes. But nonetheless, I mean, the fact that the Rangers right now, we have 4 a year. If you're a year after the draft and you have 4 out of 6 prospects that you drafted, it being held in pretty high regard, it's not a bad thing. That's actually really, really good because typically it's never too early or too late to write off or on a prospect. But typically you'll know pretty quickly, like after their first year after the draft, like it's kind of tough. You get drafted, and you fell off like that, and 4 out of the 6 got better. So that's my thoughts there. You guys comment below your thoughts on the 2022 New York Rangers draft class. I'm gonna try it if I'm not busy tomorrow, which I don't think I should be. I should be good after work. I'll be home around 6:30. Probably have a video up by 7. I hope. We'll go over the 2021 draft class, see where they're sitting at. But the NHL entry draft coming up, I believe it is the 25th, right? It's a week away. No, it's on a Wednesday. It's like 8 or 9 days away. Either way, Python, I'm hoping Ice Cold Takes Joey DeMaglia will be on with us for the draft as well. I really hope he is. I'm not sure if he's working that day, but we're going to try to get him on too. We'll have a big podcast for the 2023 NHL entry draft, see what the Rangers do, if anything at all. But either way, thank you guys for watching the video. But watching it, sort of making it. And if you understand what I said, you're not in hearing it. I did it slow for you guys that time. Just a little bit slower. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.